Today we're going to be talking about Justice League, so stay tuned. Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television.
Were you failing there, and then you brought in the country western version? Is that
No, I'm just very energetic.
It's like
at the moment.
I'm failing. I gotta get all country here.
I got it. No,
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta throw in that country just to, show your roots.
Yeah. No, you're doing great. I didn't mean to interrupt the nicknaming.
Everybody,
Yeah.
I'm here with Joel Pumpkin Pie Cunningham.
I like it. Do you know the proper way to eat pumpkin pie? They have a photo of this on Facebook.
Yeah, you hide it in whipped cream.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what
I do. That's how I live.
I do like the pumpkin pie. I will say my favorite Thanksgiving pie, if I had to choose, is pecan. 100%.
You say pecan.
I do say pecan. We were having a conversation about the other day.
Okay, I say pecan.
The reason that I say pecan is because I learned, this sounds totally random, but pecan sandies. I don't call them pecan sandies. Pecan sounds so like...
I don't even know what that is. I would call it
it's a
pecan
cookie.
sandies.
But it sounds so British. It's like, hey, let's have a pecan pie. It just sounds so like proper.
I don't know, man.
I'm going way into detail.
I'm saying
here, yeah.
pecan.
Okay.
Anyways.
Fair enough. So today I am here with Matt, CGI Lips. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Saying. Yeah.
All right.
That's a big news story.
We're in the middle of Lipgate. That's what I'm calling it.
Lipgate. Okay.
It's like,
Lipgate.
out of all the issues, so
I like it.
We'll probably talk a little bit about this, but
yeah.
There's this crazy news thing that's going around right now. It's kind of a viral thing where everybody's commenting on the fact that they CGI'd Superman's upper
Yeah,
lip
we knew that
to get
going
rid of his
into it,
beard.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked a little funky.
It did look a bit, just in that opening thing for me.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It
so
was
we're referring to Justice League, obviously.
Yeah, Justice League, which we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you guys just have a quick reminder kind of what we do and how we break this down. You have Joel, who's real analytical, likes to break it all down, super critical style, maybe even gets into negative territory.
Mm-hmm. And I say pecan.
Yes, and he says pecan.
Yeah, I say
and
pecan.
then I'm a little bit more emotional. Hey, did I have fun? Did it resonate on an emotional level with me? Did it make me cry? Whatever. That's kind of more how I gauge the old cinemas.
Did it make me cry?
Yeah.
Matt's score on a tier score. It's like on a no tears to just sobbing.
Yeah, so that's what we got to do.
how you
I think
rank
we got to do a
films.
new ranking system.
That's fine.
Anyways, Joel.
I'm always going to be on the zero.
Yeah, you're like, it didn't make me cry, but it was
Not
wonderful.
A single tear was shed. Yeah.
Hey, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how they can connect with us?
I'll do that. Get connected. I like that.
Yes.
It's like an emotional thing.
Do it.
The best way to get connected with us probably these days is our Facebook, which is facebook.com/Real Review Media, spelled REEL, like the fishing reel.
Yeah.
Then additionally, we got our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. You can get on there, sign up for our newsletter, which we send out occasionally, not super often, but occasionally. Then additionally, we've got our Instagram, we've got our Twitter, which are both at Real Review Media. And then, as always, we love to hear from you, our listeners, and hear your perspectives and watchers, I should say, for the vidcast. So definitely email us if you get a chance, which is realreviewmedia@gmail.com. We're going to have to, I'm saying this on record, we're going to have to just move over to we have like official Real Review Media email addresses.
Yeah.
And we've been continuing to use our Gmail because that's just kind of who we're known. We'll have to switch over at some point.
Convenience.
Yeah, we'll have to switch over at some point. So for those of you that are out there, it's like, what, they can't even afford like a legit email? It's like, no, we have them. We just don't use them.
Yeah, we were just, being rebellious in that way.
Matt at
It's all good.
realreviewmedia.com. Give it a try.
Matt at realreviewmedia.com. Check it out. But yeah, no, that's how you can get connected with us. Actually, on the YouTube channel, I just did a reaction to the new little teaser for The Incredibles 2.
That is true. We have YouTube.
Yes, and it's youtube.com/The Real Review, but I also did one for the new thriller with the husband and wife couple of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt for A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Directed by John Krasinski.
I haven't seen that one.
It looks interesting.
I haven't seen the trailer for that one
it's
yet.
It's kind of got some vibes. I
Cool.
did a reaction to that. It looks cool. Anyways,
Rampage.
Rampage. I did a Rampage one too.
Yeah, looking forward to that one for sure.
Anyways, we're going to talk about Justice League and kind of just diving right into it. Obviously, you know the synopsis, but I'm going to read it anyway, just so you have it. Fueled by his restored faith in humanity, inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists the help of his newfound ally, Diana Prince, to face an even greater enemy. Directed by Zack Snyder, Primarily did 51% or more of it, but then you have Joss Whedon.
At least 51% of this was for sure Zack Snyder.
Yes,
You could
exactly.
tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Amy Adams, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Connie Nielsen, J.K. Simmons. Oh my gosh, so
Holy
many people.
guacamole. It's
Anyways,
like a league of people.
yeah. So let me tell you, just right off the bat, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
But kind of this meaty meh,
Yeah.
I guess, just
Yeah.
as a whole. I will say I liked it better than Batman v Superman. That's
Yeah.
just my take on
That's
it.
like, I'm not going to lie. That's the thing that I keep hearing from everybody. It was like, well, it was better than Batman vs. Superman,
Yeah.
which is like the worst excuse ever.
I know
Because that was such a horrible
that
film.
movie.
But
That movie brings me to physical anger. I know I've said this before. Just that movie made me angry. But
yeah, it's not Wonder Woman.
Nope.
Which still, again, even Wonder Woman wasn't like it's not like on my top 5.
Right.
It was a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's probably not going to be my top 5 of
Yeah.
the year. It was still a good one. We'll see. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we were hoping that it would get close to that sort of Wonder Woman-esque.
well, the
but-
parts that had like Wonder Woman in it herself, mainly like towards the beginning, I really enjoyed. It had a lot of that same stylized action that you got from the Patty Jenkins film.
Yeah.
And they must have been like sharing notes on how they filmed that, like the kind of like fast to slow, the way they filmed it. Anyways, let me just highlight a couple of things that I did really enjoy about it. I thought the action was really cool. I thought it was better than what they did in Batman v Superman. I thought it was better than actually a lot of the things that they've done previously.
Yeah.
My favorite was I actually really enjoyed their take of the cinematic version of The Flash.
Yeah.
I really liked Ezra Miller as a Flash. He's a little bit different. He's a little less cerebral than what we get on the Grant Gustin version on TV.
I will say this. This isn't an attack against hopefully this doesn't sound bad, basically, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this version of the Flash is like somewhere on the autistic spectrum. I mean, I know
Really?
that sounds bad, but he just has lacking
He's
of that.
socially awkward.
Yeah, he's got that social awkwardness to
Yeah.
the point where it kind of impairs his ability to connect with people and understand what the emotions of the moment are.
Right.
And not that that's not that attack, it's just a different take.
Right.
You
Yeah, it's a
know?
different.
And some
way
people
to-
really like that. I mean, a lot of people are saying that the Flash and Ezra were kind of the standout
Yeah.
of this film.
The biggest thing that this movie did for me was, one, remind me how much I really liked Wonder Woman. The second thing is how much I'm excited for a standalone Flash film, and I want to see more about Aquaman.
Okay. See, I will say I want to give positives as well.
Yeah.
Ezra, the Flash, I had a hard time with him. I really like the televised version.
Yeah, me too.
Of him.
I love that.
Some of it was, I know that this film had a lot of humor in it,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't land for me 9 times out of 10. There was a couple lines that I kind of chuckled at.
Yeah.
I think we don't want to spoil anything yet, so I'm not going to specifically mention any times.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just kind of found myself going like I get where you're going.
Yeah.
I get why. He was kind of like the black sheep of the group,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, the one that kind of did maybe less of a black sheep and more of just kind of like the annoying sidekick character. I felt like this film, and I've heard this a couple times as well, but it really almost felt like a Saturday morning cartoon. It was kind of
It
like,
did a little bit, yeah.
like here's our villain of the week with kind of like a manipulated set of reasons for how he connects into the universe. And we're going to give you like the briefest little bit of kind of where all the characters are at.
Right.
And then they all have to just kind of come together and destroy this baddie. I really felt like, and I don't want to go too much again into the details of the story, but there was a story in this that could have been much more interesting
Sure.
and compelling. That was kind of like the B plot
Yeah.
of the film. And we'll talk more about that in spoiler stuff.
Sure.
But it felt like they were really just trying to focus so much on kind of these little individual characters doing their own thing and then having to band together to defeat this big baddie.
Right.
That was the idea behind it. And it was just like, okay, because we've
Yeah.
seen that now,
And
I've seen it done better as well.
It was okay. And so let's kind of wrap up my positives. I did like the character interactions. There's a couple characters that the Flash interacts with that I specifically like more than some of the others. But in one of them I can't talk about just yet. So that was a great aspect. But I think the biggest problem for me about this movie, I agree with now that you say the Saturday morning cartoon element of it.
Yeah.
is the movie's kind of just forgettable. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to think about it now, and I thought about it after the fact. I'm like, there's not really any like big standout moments that I'm
No.
like, oh, that was cool. But I can't even think about it. Like, I don't even remember some of the details of the
Yeah.
movie. It's just very forgettable.
Yeah, there's not a lot of strength behind a lot of the moments.
Right.
Things just kind of happen.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of embraces that idea of it being like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's made to just kind of give you a sense of like, let's progress things forward enough and
Right.
make it enjoyable enough that you can kind of watch it and zone out.
It's
a little
so-
bit. You know, big action, big special effects and things, which
Yeah.
weren't always the greatest. Just to say real quick, sorry not to interrupt. I want to hear
You're
your
fine.
thought. Don't save it or don't lose it. Yeah, don't save it. I did like the action as well.
Yeah.
I think that was the most standout portion to me. And I did overall, even though I didn't really like the humor, I liked that they weren't taking it as serious
Yeah.
as they've done with a lot of Zack Snyder films in the past. I mean, he has such a somber like mentality
Right.
with his films and even the lighting. And you could kind of see that Whedonness in not just the humor, like the one-liners, but I think additionally the lighting and the colorization. There was a lot of shots where it felt like, okay, this was probably, Zack Snyder probably intended this to be very dark and kind of somber,
Yeah.
but it's like bright, you know, like sorry, I can't say anything, but it just felt that way.
Right.
I was about to spoil it, and I'm like, nope, don't spoil it.
Yeah.
I'm holding myself back,
Yes.
people.
Yes. It's good. Good
So
stuff.
those were kind of my overall positives.
Yeah. No. And that's all right. And
So negatives. Let's go. We've got like 50 minutes now to talk about. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Negatives,
yeah. Negatives. I mean, the biggest thing for me was the forgettableness of it, and I think the biggest negatives for this film was I felt like it was a movie, like you said, that had another plot that could have been there brought to the forefront, but it was almost like hey, let's just salvage what we got with this situation. There's a real, terrible situation that Zach went through, that he had to basically give the reins to Joss, to him, and the editing.
Yeah.
And then there's a studio mandate that they wanted it to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any more than that. Where this type of film,
Or less than that, or more than that.
it couldn't be any more than 2 hours.
So it could be under 2 hours? They
Yeah.
really wanted to. Okay.
Yeah, it could have been, but they said the max you could do is 2 hours. They actually had made it like 2 hours and 1 minute. So
Gotcha.
that's what WB mandated. And then, so I felt like this kind of a movie, though, probably would have benefited from more because of what was cut. There's a bunch of stuff in the trailers that weren't even in the movie,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's just, I think what they did was they're like, well, we can only make it 2 hours. We got to edit this thing down. It's the only way we can make it without it, being completely terrible. And we can't go the emotional depths we want to go with just 2 hours. So let's
Yeah.
just make it like a Saturday morning cartoon, something fun and just actiony.
Right. One of the bigger problems I had with it as well was a lack of sense of where the characters are at.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like throughout the course of the story, there wasn't really a sense of them progressing, moving forward in
Right.
their own. Like the best you could say is that Wonder Woman kind of had a bit of like a moment where she kind of like changed who she was, but Batman didn't really change. The biggest like character development you could say is that they're all willing to work with each other.
Right.
Like that's the only development that
Yeah.
pretty much any of the characters have gotten from that, except for maybe Wonder Woman. So that lacked that compellingness.
Right.
Whereas if you compare another kind of ensemble type superhero film, which would be Avengers, the first Avengers film, you really felt like a lot of the characters throughout the course of the story kind of had to work through some personal issues and demons
Yep.
to be willing to engage and be a part of that team. But
Yeah.
this one, it was almost more of like a plot of convenience. It was like, well, I guess I have to do this now because
Yeah.
if I don't, the world's going to get destroyed.
Yep.
But that's pretty much my
And I
reasons
live
for
on the
doing-
world, so
Right.
I got to do this.
Exactly. And I just happen to have access to, I'm going to spoil this, but this box, this MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And the MacGuffin aspect felt so manipulated. It's like they didn't really explain where the box aspect came from, what those are, the end game for that. I mean, it almost felt like the cube from the first Avengers, which turns out to have a much bigger portion to
Tesseract,
it.
I think.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing as well is a real lack of sort of overall story cohesion.
Cohesion.
What they have with Kevin Feige.
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 Yeah. I was like,
I don't know how to pronounce that guy.
Pecan.
It's what they have with him. He has a knowledge and understanding of, okay, this film is going to go here, and then 4 films from now we're going to revisit, or, we're going to move this story forward. Even if he doesn't necessarily know 100% where everything is going to go, he's comfortable putting it in there because he can tie it in to different elements later. With this film, it's kind of like they just like again, Saturday morning cartoons, like, well, we got to have a bad guy, so let's manipulate this prior relationship with this one person that is kind of important to one of the movies, and then let's put these MacGuffins in there, and then, oh yeah, and we have to do some stuff here with this other character that's really important that everybody loves. So it all felt very bland, and then because the humor didn't land for me,
it landed for me for maybe about not as little as you, not the 1 out of 10 it landed. Maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 for me.
I've heard that. I think that might make it a little bit better for a lot of people. I mean, I've heard a lot of people thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I just didn't, for whatever reason, just wasn't him. Maybe he was in a bad mood. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm grumpy.
I'm grumpy. I was seeing it in the theater. That probably wasn't the most ideal situation to see it. I kind of just got pulled into like seeing it the one that was available.
Sure.
But yeah, so that didn't land very heavy with me. I didn't really feel like I was going anywhere with the characters. So yeah, overall, just kind of meh, but the action was fun.
Yeah, the action was good.
Yeah.
I really liked the Wonder Woman stuff. I did like some of the Flash stuff.
Yeah, there was no. I will say there was no suspense in the sense of like, holy cow, what if these characters could die? Like I do get that with Marvel now. A lot of times it's like they could off one of these characters. With this one, I'm like,
no. I didn't feel that way either. I felt like these people are way too powerful, and you don't ever get the sense that any of their lives are actually in real danger.
Right, and I did I did kind of like, and I don't want to talk too much about this without going into spoilers, but I did like kind of the role that Batman took.
Yeah.
But I felt like Wonder Woman in particular was a bit underutilized. And I feel like the story that I felt, again, I'm not the writer, I'm not the director, I can't say that this is so much better, but I feel like the story that I'm thinking would have worked a lot better. It would have allowed those characters to kind of fully flesh out what role they could have really taken in that. But we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Well, let's dive into that in a second. What would you rate this thing?
I give it a 70.
Okay.
So it's a C-. I was on the border of 60, but I really did like the action for the most part.
Yeah, I'm
suspenseful.
I'm 79.
Okay.
So C+ it. A little bit of a gap there, but I think maybe I just had fun with it, and I think that's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah.
It didn't feel long. It was definitely a trim movie.
Yeah.
And the pacing was good. It was moving real quick through things.
Right. I think
pacing for what it could have been, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I think if the humor landed more for you, then that for sure can...
That's probably where it came from.
Yeah, because I would have given it a much higher score if I had at least enjoyed the humor.
So let's get into the spoiler talk.
Let's do it.
We're going to give you a little 5-second warning. If you've not seen the movie, you don't want to know any more about the movie, plot, details, synopsis, we're going to get into spoilers.
Turn it off.
Turn it all off.
Turn it off.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody dies.
Superman lives.
Yeah, Superman lives. Superman's alive.
Yeah.
Hey, and so we were talking about this earlier, and there's this big debacle how they had to do reshoots, and Henry Cavill had a mustache doing Mission Impossible 7.
Right.
So
how can you not allow him to just shave that sucker? I mean, it would regrow in like a week.
I don't know. It's contractually obligated. Yeah. Anyway, the only time that I really noticed it was the intro, and he looked like a cartoon.
Yeah, for sure.
In that like cell phone video thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He looks like a mannequin. Like it just looked so weird to me.
Well, the big thing they talk about, and this makes sense, but like if you have a body, you're trying to find blending zones, which is like places that you can make the CGI naturally kind of blend into portions of the face.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's easier with the face because you can like use the sides.
Yeah.
But with like just a section like right here, it's difficult because there's
plastic.
Right. So I think what they did is they kind of made his whole face look a little bit fake.
Yeah.
So that way his lip didn't stain out and be like super fake lip and normal face. I think that's what happened.
They should have just used the technology they used to make Kurt Russell look really young for that spot. I mean, he looked great in Guardians 2.
There was... Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Sorry.
I don't know. So anyways, let me say this, and I alluded to it earlier. My favorite, it's kind of sad, my favorite scene from the movie, the most memorable one to me, is probably not even in the actual movie. It's the first it's like the mid-credits scene.
Gotcha. Yeah,
with Ezra Miller. Yeah, and he's just like,
that was cute.
He's just bantering with Superman. Let's race. I've never been to the West Coast.
I was immediately off put by the film. I will say that little intro thing where it was almost like they were playing the Spider-Man Homecoming game, where it's like the behind-the-scenes footage. Right. Where, the two little kids are like interviewing Superman, and it felt so manipulated.
Oh, really?
Manipulated, like, whoa, we got to give a little bit more explanation here for this S thing. And then, all these kids are like, well, he has to get in his truth and justice quote. And, we have to show the importance of Superman. It just felt very manipulative, and it set me off in like a really bad direction. It didn't feel like the kids were real, and it just abruptly cut off. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
And so that kind of put me off on the wrong foot.
No,
I was trying to like slowly recover. And it didn't start off poorly. I did think it was really funny how, we've gone on all these tremendously huge like things with Batman saving the city, and all this crazy stuff has happened with them taking on Superman, and we cut to Batman and he's basically just fighting a burglar on a rooftop, and he's like struggling with it. You know what I mean? Like the guy's like kind of almost getting away and stuff, and you're like, well, this is Batman.
He's using the burglar as a way to bring out the parademon.
Right, but you would have thought like he would have walked out and he would have been like bop, 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 tied him up and then hung him off the rooftop. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's like hiding and he's shooting at him, and like it took like way too long.
You know what was cool? I totally forgot about this till just now, and this is another part of the problem. I thought everything was pretty forgettable. I did like the scene as a villain. Steppenwolf was okay, but I think
he felt like a Saturday morning villain. Like we just need a bad guy that's got powers.
Right. I have no idea about him. I mean, he alluded to Darkseid, which is ultimately supposed to be like the Thanos of the DC universe.
And I get that. Yeah.
I really liked the battle on Themyscira with him.
Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
It was really cool. I thought it was really cool how all the Amazonians were basically sacrificing themselves just to get this thing away, and like that whole sequence of them like shooting the arrows and like
that was creative.
It was really cool and creative. I was like, this brings kind of heft to like, because there wasn't a lot of other heft brought to how serious and how important this thing is that you got to get away from these people. I was like, that's kind of cool.
It felt creative, but at the same time, I also felt it felt a bit manipulative and kind of MacGuffin-esque. They never really explained the teleportation thing.
No.
Like, how did he have the power to teleport right into these boxes? And how come he like comes out and he spends like 5 minutes? And how did they know that he was going to be there right at that moment?
And when he was talking to Mother, was he talking to Jennifer Lawrence?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that ties in necessarily.
Oh, no, they're not connected. Okay.
I mean, things start to break down when you really, that's what I'm saying. It felt like very much like, well, we have to have this power that he's trying to get that once again terraforms the earth. Like it's always we're trying to destroy the earth.
There was it wasn't a sky beam, but it kind of looked like a sky beam at the end of the movie.
It was like a sky tube.
Yeah, at the very end of the movie, where like made that like dome over that village.
Oh,
for just like a second until Batman took it out.
His teleportation tube.
Yeah, that was weird too.
So many just kind of manipulate. But I was like, okay, we're just kind of go along with it. That's kind of what I felt like they were doing. Like, look, guys, things need to happen, so just trust us. But I was really counting on there to be some forward progress with the characters. But because I didn't get that, and I do want to talk about this as well, because I really felt like Batman in this. The best comparison I could make him to is almost like he felt almost like Black Widow in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really have any superpowers.
Yeah.
He just kind of is there to kind of coordinate and help structure the team.
Yeah.
And he's got like all these little gizmos and gadgets. Like I always feel Black Widow's like she's about to lose and then she pulls out some like gas thing or like some like,
electroshock thing.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, so he's kind of like a Black Widow and he ends up getting beat pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A couple times.
He gets it handed to him several times.
Right. So I was fine with that. I really felt like they underutilized Gal Gadot in this though as Wonder Woman. She really felt like she could have, and this is the story. So I want to explain this real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I don't see why they couldn't have made this film much more like the main plot of the story have been about bringing back Superman.
Right.
And maybe there was this bad guy that figured out this process of bringing Superman back. It could have been Lex. It could have been somebody else. And they bring Superman back, but they have this power to sort of control him. Or maybe he turns into a bad guy that ends up killing the bad guy that brings him back. And then it's this process of them trying to convert him back into like the Superman that we know and we love. And that would have been set up so perfectly with that intro of seeing Superman as this nice guy that's like talking to these kids and everything like that. But it really didn't go that direction. I felt like then Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman could have really stepped up and been kind of like the leader for the group because she's obviously the most powerful besides Superman.
Right.
So there really could have been this cohesion of them having to work together as a team and also to kind of fix the bad things that they had done or their I don't know, mistakes or whatever you want to call it from the past. So like that would have been a much more reasonable and interesting story to me, but not introducing the Steppenwolf character that I don't know anything about.
The one thing that
I don't connect with at all.
Yeah. The one thing that would have been really, they should have had more time to is they really rushed the reluctance of Aquaman to be a part of the group. Like he was not really on board, but they for the sake of bringing along they rushed it. And there was a joke that they played that was funny, but it would have been way funnier if they would have shown that reluctance more.
Oh yeah.
It's the lasso of truth where he's accidentally sitting on it the whole time.
And you're like, wow, he's starting to get really deep and honest.
I was like,
here.
what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then like it was good. It's good, but it would have been like bust a gut laughing if you would have gotten more of like beforehand, like of him being really reluctant.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, no, I'm not going to join your group. I don't want to. And then he's like, they steal his stuff and he's like, all right, I'm joining your group now because they stole my stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like that. Yeah. So it's like okay, and then again that I don't know. There was just things were just happening.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like going in that direction.
Things were just happening. So
the one I will say, I mentioned this as well. A couple things that made me laugh. One in particular, I think the funniest moment for me was actually, I thought it was kind of fun and playful. And it felt like Joss Whedon. The scene where they're racing to go save the people from the little village after like Steppenwolf
and he looks
activates
over
the boxes. And he like looks over and Sarah's like, Superman's carrying the building.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. Yeah.
Superman and the Flash, their interactions was my favorite. That was my favorite.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And they have this like will they won't they tension between Wonder Woman and Batman, which I'm like thinking, no, that's probably never going to happen. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But other than that, the Cyborg, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't really.
We didn't get a lot of his background. I felt really disconnected from him.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing a robot, so that's going to be difficult because you have to be sort of emotionless.
Yeah, and so they didn't really play up. There's this tension where he's like half human, half robot, and you can't like differentiate between the two. And they talked about it, but you never really saw that struggle.
Right, you never really saw the struggle that he's having as the robot. You never really made sense of that, except for the one point where he like can't control his body and it just decides to attack Superman.
For
some reason, I'm like, so your body just. You can't like what? When did this? How did this become a thing?
That scene I thought was actually okay. If it would have went a little bit longer, it would have been annoying. But I loved how the Flash was like going to do something, but Superman's like equally as fast. So he like looks at him, and he's like, and you see Ezra Miller's face, just like,
I like that fight. I like that fight.
Me too.
I wanted that. That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine that, but throughout the whole movie.
Right.
Imagine that battle that they have with Superman, where somebody brings him back, and then they have to fight him and like eventually change him.
That would have been a better B versus S than B versus
and then,
S was.
The secret weapon that they bring is like Amy Adams.
Right.
And maybe she shows up and they hoping and it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
It like makes them freak out even worse, I mean, that would have been much more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Compelling to me. So.
I don't know. I mean, again, I thought it was okay. Could have been better. It was forgettable, but anything else you want to add to it?
No, I mean, I thought the little very end twist was kind of interesting. But at the same time,
with
the
Lex?
The idea that they're gonna, create. I forget what the other side is, but they have the Justice League and the League of Villains. Is it
something? I don't know. It's James Manganiello's Deathstroke.
Yeah. But Lex Luthor leads their own sort of like bad cadre, and so I thought that was kind of neat to think that they're gonna put that together. But it wasn't like, yay, I'm so excited to see more DC films. Yeah. But
Jesse Eisenberg seemed a little bit more reserved this go around too. I mean, he was only in it for a second. He wasn't like, want a Jolly Rancher?
For sure, much more reserved. He kind of toned it down a bit.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to keep going with Joss Whedon. I don't think they're going to call this a win. It had a horrible opening. Had one of the lowest openings of any DC film that they've had in a while.
Right. I mean, $96 million is a lot, but this thing probably broke the bank at like $300 million.
I mean, just on production budget, at least 300. I mean, when you count marketing,
reshoots and all the trouble,
probably over 600. But yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I think in the long run, we'll see what they want to go, where they want to go from here.
Yeah.
Not that
Affleck's looking for a way out, by the way.
I heard that.
Yeah.
But the big thing is like who's going to be directing the universe. And I hope they learn from it. I hope they bring in somebody besides Snyder, because I don't think Snyder is he's not like a big picture guy. He's not like an overall like coordinator of grand stories guy. Bring in somebody that can kind of like threshold the universe forward.
Yeah, definitely.
And I did think there was a lot of times, we didn't talk about this too much, but we're finishing up here.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a clash at times between the styles of Joss Whedon with cinematography and Zack Snyder. There was a lot of shots where it almost felt cheesy to me. Their outfits were like too well lit.
Oh,
and it looked like they needed to be darker lit because you could like see the individual like ab spots, like packages and like the individual grooves of the armor where it's like under a darker lighting.
Yeah.
Then that wouldn't have like stood out quite so boldly and strongly. So
no, I gotcha.
But yeah, that's kind of last thoughts.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our review of Justice League.
Sweet.
I am curious, so for people watching the vidcast, let me know what you guys thought about it. Comment in the section below.
You're curious.
But also email us too, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about it. Also, again, facebook.com/Real Review Media, Twitter, Instagram @Real Review Media, youtube.com/The Real Review. Check us out there. But other than that, anything else you want to add to it?
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys, and it's been real.
It's been real.